My boss saw me at the bar and whispered, "Tonight's on me, take me home." The night my life cracked open did not begin with thunder or tears, but with a glass trembling slightly in my hand as I sat alone at a dim bar, pretending I was fine. The kind of fine that survives on routine and silence. I did not expect to look up and see my boss standing there, eyes softer than I had ever known them, carrying a look that felt like it could undo every wall I had built. In that moment, everything I believed about control, distance, and survival quietly began to fall apart. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a second to pause. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. I had gone to the bar not to celebrate, but to disappear. The kind of place where the lights are low enough that no one looks too closely, and the music is loud enough to drown out thoughts you are too tired to fight. My days had become a cycle of early mornings, late nights, and a job that demanded everything while giving very little back. I was good at my work, dependable, invisible in the way people like me often become. I paid my bills, showed up on time, smiled when required, and went home to a small apartment that echoed with loneliness. That night, exhaustion weighed heavier than usual. The glass in my hand felt like a lifeline, not an indulgence. Work had been brutal that week. Deadlines stacked like bricks, pressure coming from above, and no room to admit weakness. My boss was known for being composed, distant, and untouchable. They were respected, feared, admired. The kind of person who never missed a detail and never crossed a line. At least, that was the version I knew under fluorescent lights and meeting rooms. Seeing them in the bar felt unreal, like a scene from someone else's life bleeding into mine. They did not sit immediately. They stood there for a moment, as if deciding whether to step into a story neither of us had planned. When they finally took the seat beside me, the air shifted. Not in a dramatic way, but in a subtle, dangerous one. The kind that makes you aware of your own breathing. There was no judgment in their presence, no authority, just a shared weariness that surprised me. I realized then that power does not protect people from loneliness. Sometimes it hides it better. That night became a quiet crossing of boundaries, not in action but in understanding. We did not talk about work. We did not talk much at all. But in the silence, something unfolded. I felt seen in a way that had nothing to do with performance or productivity. The loneliness I had carried for years felt suddenly shared, and that scared me more than being alone ever had. I had learned how to survive solitude. I had not learned how to survive hope. Taking them home was not a reckless choice. It was a gentle one, heavy with uncertainty and restraint. The walk was slow, filled with unspoken thoughts. Inside my small apartment, the walls seemed thinner, the space more honest. There was no rush, no grand moment. Just two people sitting in a quiet room, realizing that something fragile had formed. That night was not about passion. It was about safety. About being allowed to exhale. The days after were harder than the night itself. Reality does not soften just because something beautiful happens. At work, we returned to our roles, our titles, our distance. The office felt colder. Every glance carried weight. Every meeting felt charged with what we could not acknowledge. I struggled with guilt, fear, and the crushing awareness of imbalance. I questioned my own worth, wondering if I had mistaken kindness for connection, vulnerability for meaning. I told myself it was a mistake, a one-time fracture in discipline. But life has a way of testing what we deny. Small moments began to shift. Extra patience in conversations. Concern in their eyes when I looked tired. A quiet understanding when deadlines overwhelmed me. Nothing improper, nothing obvious. Just humanity leaking through the cracks of professionalism. It made the struggle harder, not easier. I found myself pulling away, guarding my heart, reminding myself of my place. I had been burned before by hoping for more than was offered. The real challenge was not the risk to my job. It was the risk to my sense of self. I had spent years shrinking my needs to fit into safe spaces. I told myself love was for other people, braver people. People with fewer responsibilities and less fear. Allowing myself to want something more felt selfish. Allowing myself to want them felt impossible. Everything came to a head on a day when the pressure finally broke me. I made a mistake at work, a small one, but enough to spiral. I expected disappointment, maybe anger. Instead, I was met with understanding. Not the professional kind, but the human kind. In that moment, the imbalance I feared dissolved slightly. I was not a subordinate being judged. I was a person being cared for. We did not rush forward after that. Growth came slowly, painfully, honestly. Boundaries were discussed, respected, and redefined. The story was no longer about a boss and an employee, but about two adults choosing transparency over fear. I learned that strength is not always about standing alone. Sometimes it is about letting someone stand with you. Outside of work, my life began to change in small but profound ways. I slept better. I laughed more. I started believing that my presence mattered beyond what I could produce. The world felt less heavy. For the first time in years, I imagined a future that was not just survival, but living. Love did not arrive like a storm. It arrived like morning light, slowly filling spaces I did not know were dark. There were still challenges, still moments of doubt and imbalance, but there was also choice. Every day, we chose respect. Every day, we chose honesty. And every day, we chose to see each other not as roles, but as people shaped by loss, effort, and quiet hope. Near the end of this journey, when everything finally settled into something steady and real, I realized how close I had come to missing it all. One night at a bar, one moment of vulnerability, had changed the trajectory of my life. Not because of romance alone, but because I allowed myself to be human in front of someone who did not turn away. If this story has reached something tender inside you, if it reminded you of your own hidden battles or quiet hopes, please take a moment now to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement tells us that these stories matter, that emotions still have a place in this world. And before the ending, here is a special request from the heart. Please comment below and tell us if you believe that one small moment can change an entire life. I still think about that night sometimes. About the trembling glass, the low light, the unexpected kindness. Not as a turning point of romance, but as the moment I stopped believing I was invisible. Life did not become perfect. Love did not erase fear. But it gave me courage. And sometimes, courage is the most romantic thing of all.